Hello everyone, welcome to SC2 Noob School. It's been a while, guys. I took a break. I did. Over the holidays, I was back at home, and I was not making videos. Now, it was, I like making all these videos, but it was nice to have a little vacation. I got to play a lot of StarCraft instead of just always commentating it and watching it. But it was good. I like it. It was kind of like the whole StarCraft community took a bit of a break over the holiday seasons. The major tournaments weren't going on. Nothing big like that. I was personally taking a break myself to play the game versus do all this casting and stuff like that. However, I am back, and I hope you're noticing a nice improvement in microphone quality. Everyone thank my mom for getting me a new microphone for Christmas. She got me a Blue Yeti, which is a rather amazing microphone. In fact, In Control just tweeted out that he got the same one. So yeah, it should be sounding really good. Leave me feedback though on anything you think I could change, because I am always striving to improve this. And this is my first cast with the new mic, so it'll probably take me a couple videos at least to really figure out what I want to do with the settings, but should definitely be a noticeable improvement already. Alright, so this game is Root QXC versus Root Sheth. Root Sheth is the Zerg in the bottom left, the red Zerg. And man, I have just been so impressed with the Root clan lately. They really are a super top tier American team, able to stand toe to toe with the bigger sponsor teams like EG. Either way, Root QXC throwing down an engineering bay. You see, you just build a little bit of the engineering bay and it really delays the Zerg's timing really far, and it forces him to do something like get a spawning pool faster than he wishes. A lot of Zergs would rather get down a fast hatchery on this map. So it does delay that, and it's rather nice thing for a Terran to do. Root QXC going for the normal super standard build so far. He's just going to get a couple Marines out, deny some scouting, and then decide where he wants to go with this tech decision. And Root Sheth, as soon as he gets that engineering bay down, certainly getting complimenting QXC on his cancel. I'm sure QXC just like timed it out to be exactly, one hit away from death, but by the time he did it, I guess that's what you do when you're like so pro that it doesn't even matter. Early on in the game you can just do whatever you want. You're like, yeah, I'm just gonna let it get to one hit before death. It's no problem. It's cool. Alright, so completing this wall off, showing where he wants to go, at least the first little inkling of it by getting this factory. He does have his refinery up, and I'm curious when the next refinery is going to go up. It's going to give us a reasonable decision, or a reasonable guess on what he's going to go later. QXC loves Banshees though. And by the way, if you have not been watching QXC's stream on Team Liquid and you're a fan of StarCraft, go to Team Liquid and find his streams. In fact, just find a video on demand of it. I might even put a link to it, because it is so good. It's the best stream I've listened to, I think, ever, really. I mean, just on top of being a fantastic player, he does a lot of community or viewer interaction. It's just really fun to watch. What can I say? He's pretty amazing. Alright, so we got several Zerglings being pumped out here by Sheth, and just doing a little bit of scouting on the map. Not really anything huge going on yet. QXC is getting down a starport and a command center, so it looks like he's going to go for some kind of Banshee expand of some time. A couple of Marines going out on the map, probably just Overlord hunting. He knows at this point in the game there's probably not too many Zerglings out by now, so he's got just some Marines to shimmy on around the map, but Sheth, too smart for that, moving all his Overlords out of position. Nice little attack force of Zerglings coming in here though, and looks like they're actually going to be able to get a couple kills here on these Marines, but the Hellion coming out just in time. This Hellion is going to help that push quite a bit, but still too many Zerglings for these units to handle. This is actually pretty big loss for QXC right here in the beginning. You know, he's going for this tech build. He's sacrificing a lot on his early game army so that he can tech and expand at the same time. So the fact that Sheth has this many Zerglings alive at the beginning of the game, still, as opposed to QXC's very small army, is actually going to be quite a bit of a problem. Not because the Zerglings are going to kill his base or his army, because they're going to kill the back rocks. This is the thorn in every Terran player's side whenever they're playing on this map. Hold on, pause 1 second. Alright, I'm back. The thorn in every player's side is having these destructible rocks torn down by a Zerg player, and then your natural expansion just becomes so hard to defend. Zergling's able to get a couple more kills on QXC. That is really quite a huge loss for QXC, and in the meantime, Sheth is building up his roach army. He's definitely going to be aiming to get these rocks down as soon as he can, bust some roaches in the front door, and totally catch QXC off guard. He's really not going to have any kind of early army to deal with this. Even sending out another Hellion to get a little scout. Going to encounter some Zerglings along the way and take quite a beating. Not going to be able to retreat. That Hellion is going to go down. And these rocks, I have nightmares about these rocks. Pumping out one single Banshee and just got such a pitiful handful of lower tier units. He's got 3 Marines and 1 Hellion and 2 Banshees, as opposed to Sheth's 6 Roach and 21 Zergling army. Even if QXC can just sit on this army and just pound it with these Banshees, it's still going to take a long time for those Banshees to really kill this army. So Sheth is able to go in here with all these Zerglings, free range on these SCVs. The expansion is down, they're going to transfer over, but these Banshees are trying to do as much damage as they can, but versus Roaches, it's just going to happen so slow, and he's continuing to reinforce with more Zerglings, action all over the map. These Roaches really should be finding something else more useful to do, but whatever. QXC's concentration is on these SCVs. He's got to keep them alive. So many of them are getting in low health. He's actually doing a reasonably good job of keeping them alive though, but these Banshees are just taking so long to finish everything off, especially with Sheth continuing to produce Zerglings. He's wanting to continue this attack. He could be choosing to just drone up right now, start getting some upgrades and tech more gas and things like that. He's actually continuing this attack. And I can't say it was a bad decision. Looking now at the units tab, we have 36 drones versus 23 SCVs, so definitely not a good position you want to be at, especially when your rocks are now down. It's just so hard for a Terran player, especially if you're going for any kind of mech build, to secure both your natural expansion and your back rocks. You know, a Zerg army can just bounce back and forth continually forever. And man, Sheth is just so aggressive with he's keeping little pockets of lings all over the map because he knows that there's only a tiny army that QXC has right now, so he can't, and he's got to keep his Banshees together so he can just have tiny little skirmishes of Zerglings all over the place. 3 Banshees coming in, able to target fire 1 Queen, missing that critical what the hell is that called? Transfusion. Oh man. Casting is actually hard, by the way. Your memory will never feel worse, and you won't ever feel dumber than while you're trying to cast a StarCraft match, and you just say the most retarded things, and think to yourself later, why did I say that? That makes even I think that's retarded. Either way, oh, the woes of being a commentator. Ah, it's a tough life. No, but it's a fun life. Either way. Here we go. So Banshee's getting quite a few kills on them. This one has 8, this one has 3, and this one needed to get repaired up. Hero Banshee, Captain, 15 kills. Way to go. Way to go, Captain. I'm glad that's not how it works in our army, where you actually just, the more kills you get in the war, the higher your rank goes. That doesn't really seem like the best philosophy to me, personally. I mean, you know, what do I know? So QXC wanting to just bunker down, get these mules going, going to try to form some kind of wall off likely here at the top and the bottom to just slow down some army that's going to come in. But what is Sheth doing over here? Getting some upgrades like the +1 carapace. His spire is getting up. Pretty soon, as these mulists pop out, he's got about 800 gas built up, so he's going to be able to build probably that +1 upgrade, and then, you know, a large handful of mulists as well. As soon as they're out, these banshees are toast. They have nothing to protect them. They're going in here completely blind. Actually, I think this is quite a mistake by QXC. He knows there's a lot of queens already out, and perhaps he just does not know that the mulists are coming. He's not going to be a happy camper as soon as he sees it, though. Where is the overseer? Is there any overseer? Oh no, he doesn't have an overseer. So I totally take it. Oh, he's got a spore crawler. Haha, spore crawler. So gonna be able to take out these banshees. I wouldn't say that was a huge loss or a huge success, although, oh my god, he does get the hatchery. Wow, I didn't think there was any way he was going to get that hatchery, so that really paid off well for him. But at the same time, there's 9 mutalisks on the field, and these are going to be able to contain QXC so well. Just get some mutalisks out, get some zerglings running around the exteriors of the base. It becomes so hard to secure an expansion. And he's going to have to get some turrets up really, really fast, getting quite a few SCV kills right there. Wow, Sheth is doing a lot of damage right now. Definitely pulling ahead in the supply. Not quite, actually, at 81 versus 86 for QXC. So this game evening out a good bit. Here we go, QXC throwing down a ton of turrets. He has to, and he's got a nice little mech army right here. These just really all you need is a small number of Thors mixed in with a few Marines or a turret or two to stop an effective harass at your mineral line. The Mutalist will still be rather a deadly threat in the middle of combat, though, if you don't have all your Thors with you. You just choose to park one at the mineral line. And this is getting to be a scary size group of Mutalists. 8, 9, 10, 11 or so, and managing to keep quite a few of those alive while still doing quite a bit of damage. I think Sheth making a smart move and deciding to just double expand this after losing his main hatchery. He's got, whoa, he was so oversaturated at his main. Let's just watch his income jump up here. He's at about 600, and as soon as these transfer, oh, here we go, 500 even. As soon as they transfer, he should be doing a lot better in that department. Supply will be happy to hear that. There we go, spiking up to about 900. Doubling his income right there, not too shabby. That's why you like to expand, ladies and gentlemen. Still managing to fly these Mutalisks around. Going for the hatchery. Gonna have to cancel this hatchery. But Sheth is going to be able to move in here and still do quite a bit of harassment. I mean, to stop this many Mutalisks, you have to have a ton of turrets, which QXC kind of does. It's actually thrown up a lot of turrets here, so he's going to be relatively okay. Although I think if he just tries to power through both of these turrets with no Marines around... Oh, he target fires the siege tank instead. I kind of think that was a mistake. Probably should have targeted this turret, and then his Banshees would have had free reign right here, basically to just do all the damage to these SCVs. So QXC's army of Marines and Thors and a few tanks is coming in here versus a lot of spine crawlers, some roaches and some zerglings. Siege tanks caught a little bit out of position. Oh, critical mistakes of siege tanks not being siege. Sheth coming in here with the magic box. Mutalisks able to do quite a bit of damage on these Thors. Thors not super great against roaches. There's just not a whole lot that Thors can do. There's no way they can micro against roaches, so if they ever get any kind of surround going on, the Thors will just get out DPS crazy, and Sheth can be able to push in here, likely do a lot of damage. Looking here at the army tab, Sheth has got a reasonably high army advantage. Of course, he's got the advantage having these rocks down, so he can do all kinds of sneaky back and forth tactics. Going to be able to run some zerglings in there if he really wants to. Thor going down quite easily to those zerglings, not able to get the repair off, and this is a lot of roaches for an army that is not built to counter roaches right now. Marines, let's see, we got two reactors on barracks and one with a tech lab. getting as many Marauders as he can, but it's just not enough to deal with all these roaches. And let's look at the supply counts. Supply counts drastically going in opposite directions. QXC now at 70 supply versus Sheth at 93, continuing to aggressively re-expand again. He really wants to get that expansion up. In fact, I think perhaps he should just back up a little bit, stop having to reinforce his army, and then go for a stronger 3 base timing push versus QXC's push, which has been kind of stunted at around the 30 SCV count for a long time, but Sheth has been quite a bit higher. Let's look at units lost real quick. In terms of resources, it's been an utter trade, within 75 resources of being a total army trade. So this is as close of a game as they get, but the Zerg player has the army, or the advantage of map control. That is the power of the Mutalisk, everyone. Map control. He can expand anywhere he wants. This QXC army is just too slow. Forced to even stay. Notice he has to position his army right here in his main base. He can't even afford to move his army here to protect his expansion because his army always has to be able to come back and protect his main. So this is really a dangerous map for a Terran player to be on, and you see a lot of players playing the way QXC is right now, which is just trying to go for a 2-base win, not worrying about trying to get a 3rd, especially versus a Zerg who can get out Mutalisk, get out map control, stuff like that, abuse your back rocks. I mean, they're called back rocks, but in all honesty, they lead right to the center of the map. So they're really not even back rocks. They're another entrance into your main. Super, super dangerous. Thor's able to get tons and tons of shots off on those Mutalisks and taking out a nice sized Sheth army. Sheth trying to reinforce with just Roach Ling here and getting some upgrades for his roaches as well. QXC opting to just stop getting tanks entirely. I guess the punishment of for getting caught out of position last time. Nice little spread of army on here. Great positioning for QXC. This Zerglings can't get us around at all. I really questioned Sheth's decision to engage right there. Oh, those Zerglings were so ineffective. There were so many Marines in the back just totally just blasting bullets through this Zerglings that entire fight. Oh man, that was a terrible, terrible engagement for Sheth. Looking at units lost, significantly behind now because of that. Oh man, that was a tough loss for Sheth. I think that could have been definitely a turning point in the game. QXC is feeling pretty good right now. He's got a lot of income, he's got a lot of production, and you know, Sheth has really had a problem getting that 3rd base, and a Zerg player getting into this far in late game really, really needs that 3rd base, because if they're trying to reinforce a 2-base army against a Terran player reinforcing a 2-base army, it's just not going to work out well for them. Generally because, you know, Zerg units have to be massed a lot more, and they tend to need to out-expand their opponents, and because the Terran player, I just totally lost my train of thought. Yeah, I did. Lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, and because the Terran player has mules, so they can actually be more saturated at a base than a Zerg can. A Terran player, period, can get more minerals off of a base than a Zerg player, because mules. If you didn't know that, by the way, I'm just going to explain that a little further. You know, you can only have 2 SCVs mining off 1 mineral patch at a time. Once you get past 2, you become oversaturated and you get diminishing returns up until 3. However, mules stack on top of these. They don't count as something gathering against us. So you can have an infinite number of mules mining on 1 patch. Anyway, so that's what I mean by they can oversaturate a base. So Sheth, quite a ways behind. These, you know, this is the result of not having any anti-air, is that these Banshees can just do tons and tons of damage to the center of the base, or to any part where you're not having tons of queens out, basically. Desperately trying to pump out more Mutalisks, but it just, you know, getting this far into the late game, it just feels a little bit weak once you're still on 2 base versus a Terran player that's strongly on 2 base. But look at this, QXC basically on one base right now. I'm going to just call it. As soon as this is saturated, he is still on one base. Sheth in an equally dire position. This game is a game of starvation at this point, and whoever has the better engagement in this next battle is totally going to decide the winner, because neither of them will have any kind of terribly successful follow-up after this. QXC getting some upgrades. Interestingly, getting a Raven out as well. I'm not sure what the Raven's for. Pretty cool though. And Ghosts with Nuke. Ghosts with Nuke. How did I not even see this? That is amazing. QXC feeling like a boss in this game, saying, hey, look, I'm 50 food ahead of you right now, and I'm on my third base. Let's just get some nukes. Cloak going off on the Banshees. Banshees doing tons and tons of damage. When you get this many Banshees into an army, the effectiveness of the anti-ground army just becomes so enormous. I'd say 4 is a pretty good critical point in terms of having Banshees as part of your unit composition, which I really like on QXC's part. Sheth forced to GG, totally mined out, unable to continue the game. Anyway, I hope this was enjoyable for everyone. I love just watching games and just being able to marvel at the awesome play instead of doing all that educational type stuff. But let me know what you think, and give me some comments on the microphone, and give me a thumbs up for my mom getting me a new microphone. Hooray! Thank you, Mom. GG.